Rancher rescues injured wild Mustang. Then the unthinkable happens and changes everything. The story begins in chaos. The sky is an angry canvas of black and gray, roaring with thunder that seems to shake the earth. Flashes of lightning split the horizon, illuminating the wild plains for mere moments before plunging them back into darkness. The air is heavy with the scent of rain, and the wind howls like a chorus of ghosts, tearing through the tall grass and bending trees to its will. In this merciless storm, everything seems to retreat. Birds vanish into the clouds, animals hunker down in hidden dens, and the once vibrant plains feel deserted and eerie. But there's something else out there. Amid the storm's fury lies a secret, one that will soon change everything. And then, through the noise of the storm, a faint cry breaks through. It's not the sound of the wind, nor the distant thunder. Something alive, something in pain. Miles away, a lone rancher urges their horse forward, squinting against the driving rain. The rancher's coat, soaked through, clings tightly to their frame as the wind bites at their face. This is no ordinary ride. It's a race against time. The rancher has lived in these plains for over a decade. They know the rhythm of this land, the silent language of its wild inhabitants. But today feels different. There's a strange unease in the air, as though the land itself is crying out for help. The rancher grips the reins tightly, their horses' hooves splashing through muddy puddles. This isn't the first storm they've braved, but something about this ride feels heavier. An instinct, a gut feeling pushes them onward. They've seen enough of life on the plains to know that storms can be deadly, not just for people, but for the wild creatures that call this place home. As the rancher rides further, their sharp eyes scan the horizon. The plains are vast, stretching endlessly under the stormy sky, but a shadow catches their attention. At first, it seems like just another boulder or a fallen tree, but something about its shape feels unnatural. They steer their horse toward it, their heart pounding with a mix of curiosity and dread. As they approach, the shape becomes clearer. It's a horse, a wild Mustang, lying on its side in the mud. The rancher's breath catches in their throat. Wild Mustangs are the true symbols of freedom and strength. Seeing one like this, broken and vulnerable, is a rare and gut-wrenching sight. The Mustang's chest rises and falls with labored breaths, its body caked in mud and scratches. One of its legs is twisted at an unnatural angle, and its eyes, wide and panicked, dart toward the rancher. The rancher dismounts carefully, their boots sinking into the wet earth. They crouch beside the Mustang, speaking in soft, soothing tones. The horse flinches at first, but its exhaustion quickly overtakes its fear. The rancher studies the injury, their experienced hands moving with care. Is it bad, worse than they'd hoped? As the storm rages around them, the rancher finds themselves at a crossroads. The Mustang is in terrible shape, and the nearest shelter is miles away. The journey back will be brutal, for both the injured Mustang and the rancher's horse. The rancher's mind races. Wild horses are resilient, but this one won't survive the storm on its own. Leaving it here means certain death, but taking it with them could put everyone in danger. The rancher looks into the Mustang's eyes, and for a moment, time seems to stop. Those wild, pain-filled eyes seem to plead, silently asking, "Will you save me?" The rancher knows the risks, knows that this decision could mean failure, heartbreak, or worse. But as they stand there in the storm, they realize something else. Walking away isn't an option. Without another thought, the rancher makes their decision. They won't leave the Mustang behind, not today, not like this. The rancher, a person of simple yet profound depth, has spent their entire life on the plains. Their days are filled with hard work, mending fences, tending to cattle, and navigating the unpredictable challenges of ranch life. They live in a modest cabin nestled at the edge of a sprawling landscape, where solitude is both a companion and a burden. To most people, the rancher might appear stoic and unshakable, someone who values practicality over sentiment. But those who know them well would say there's more beneath the surface, a quiet compassion for the land and its creatures. They've always had a connection with animals, an almost instinctive understanding of their needs and fears. Their admiration for the wild Mustangs runs deep. These horses, untamed and resilient, symbolize everything the rancher holds dear: freedom, strength, and survival against all odds. In the rancher's heart, there's a deep respect for nature's balance, but also an unspoken commitment to protect it when called upon. Behind the rancher's rugged exterior lies a history of pain and loss. A few years ago, tragedy struck their family, leaving them with a scar that hasn't fully healed. The loss of their spouse in an accident on the ranch changed everything. Since that day, the rancher has thrown themselves into their work, using it as a shield against the memories that haunt them. The rancher has also faced criticism from neighbors and fellow ranchers. Their tendency to care for injured or abandoned animals, sometimes at great personal cost, has earned them a reputation as soft-hearted. While others see it as a weakness, the rancher knows it's their greatest strength. Every life saved, no matter how small, feels like a victory against the harshness of the world. But this storm, and this injured Mustang, have stirred something deeper. The rancher's past loss makes the sight of the broken horse even harder to bear. It's a painful reminder of how fragile life can be, even for the strongest among us. As the rancher kneels beside the injured Mustang, the weight of their decision feels overwhelming. The logical choice would be to ride back to safety and leave the wild horse to its fate. After all, nature can be cruel, and this is simply how life on the plains works. But as the rancher looks into the horse's eyes, they see something that refuses to let them walk away: hope. Despite its injuries and exhaustion, the Mustang hasn't given up. Its chest rises and falls with determined breaths, as though it's fighting with every ounce of strength it has left. The rancher knows what this choice will cost. The storm is closing in, and carrying an injured horse back to the ranch will be a grueling task. It's risky, dangerous, and might even fail. But deep down, the rancher also knows they couldn't live with themselves if they left this magnificent creature to die alone in the cold mud. With a firm resolve, the rancher speaks softly to the Mustang. "I've got you," they whisper, their voice steady despite the chaos around them. They begin to gather supplies from their saddle, preparing to do whatever it takes to save the horse. In that moment, the rancher isn't just making a decision, they're making a promise. No matter how difficult the road ahead may be, they'll fight for this Mustang's life. It's not just about survival. It's about honor, compassion, and a belief that every creature deserves a chance. The storm howls louder, the wind almost deafening as it lashes against the rancher and their horse. Every instinct in the rancher's body is telling them to turn back. The land is treacherous in these conditions, and an injured wild Mustang is no easy animal to transport. Yet, something inside refuses to accept failure. The rancher approaches cautiously, aware of the Mustang's fragile state, but also its raw fear and distrust. Wild horses, especially those injured, are not easily handled. They will fight, they will bite, they will kick if they feel threatened. The rancher's heart pounds as they take each step closer to the animal, mentally preparing for what's to come. As they draw near, the Mustang lifts its head weakly. Its eyes, wide with panic, flicker to the rancher, calculating, unsure whether they are friend or foe. The storm rages around them, but in that moment, time seems to slow. The rancher speaks gently, their voice barely audible over the wind. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help." The Mustang's eyes search the rancher's face, as if trying to understand. The rancher reaches out slowly, their hand trembling just a bit. After a long, tense moment, the horse doesn't retreat. Instead, it lets out a soft whinny, an acknowledgement, or perhaps a silent plea for help. The rancher takes a deep breath and makes their move. Carefully, they kneel beside the injured Mustang, assessing the damage. The leg is badly twisted, perhaps broken, but the injury is not beyond healing. It's the Mustang's weakened state that worries the rancher more than anything. This horse has been through far more than it should ever have to endure. "Hang on, just a little longer," the rancher whispers, as they begin to prepare for the difficult task ahead. They tie their horse to a nearby tree, ensuring it won't wander off in the chaos. The storm continues to rage, but the rancher is undeterred. They've spent enough time in these wild plains to know that sometimes the only way to survive is to push through, even when every part of your body screams for rest. The rancher carefully takes a length of rope from their saddle, tying it around the Mustang's injured leg to stabilize it. The horse flinches with pain but doesn't fight. The rancher works quickly but methodically, using all their knowledge to make sure the horse is as comfortable as possible under the circumstances. Each move is a test of patience, strength, and trust. The Mustang's breathing is shallow, its body trembling, but there's a resilience in its eyes that keeps the rancher going. They know the journey ahead won't be easy, but right now, this is what matters: the immediate survival of the Mustang. When the rope is secure and the Mustang is as stable as it can be for the moment, the rancher begins the painstaking task of helping the horse stand. This isn't just about lifting it from the mud. It's about helping it regain its will to fight. The rancher's own hands are raw from the struggle, and the cold is seeping into their bones, but they refuse to give in. The path back to the ranch is treacherous, and the storm only seems to grow worse with each passing minute. The rain is a constant, soaking through every layer of clothing the rancher has on. The winds howl around them, and the ground beneath their feet is slippery and unstable. Yet, despite all of this, there is a new sense of determination in the rancher's steps. The Mustang, though still injured and weak, is making slow progress. His hooves drag heavily, but it is no longer fighting the process. With each step, it begins to lean more on the rancher, a quiet testament to the trust that's formed between them in such a short time. The rancher keeps talking to the horse, whispering encouragements, offering calm assurances that keep the Mustang moving forward. At times, the horse stumbles, and the rancher must steady it. Their own exhaustion begins to set in, and there's a moment of doubt. Will they make it? The rancher's body aches, their muscles sore from the strain, but there is no turning back now. The Mustang's life is in their hands, and they'll be damned if they let it fall into the storm's merciless grip. As the rancher pushes onward, their heart races with a mixture of fear and hope. The ranch is still miles away, but the sense of urgency is palpable. Every second counts, every step they take with the Mustang feels like one closer to safety. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, the rancher and the Mustang break through the storm's fury. The ranch's silhouette appears through the rain, like a beacon of hope. The rancher feels a surge of relief, but there's no time to rest. They push on, determined to get the Mustang inside, to safety, where it can finally rest. As they approach the barn, the rancher feels the weight of the world lift slightly. The worst of the storm is behind them, but the real work has just begun. They lead the Mustang into the barn, carefully helping it settle into a warm, dry corner. The rancher stands over the horse, their own body trembling from exhaustion, but there's a deep, overwhelming sense of accomplishment. The storm may have tested them, but the rancher's willpower proved stronger than nature itself. The Mustang is safe for now, and with that, the rancher knows they've done everything they could. The Mustang's resistance to its new circumstances is evident from the moment it enters the barn. Despite the storm subsiding, the wild spirit within the horse remains untamed. It stands in the corner of the stall, legs trembling slightly, eyes still wild and fearful. Every time the rancher steps into the barn, the Mustang flinches as if expecting harm. Its body is tense, its ears flicking nervously at every movement. In the early days, when the rancher tries to approach, the Mustang backs away, its posture rigid and defensive. It's as if the horse has been conditioned to expect pain or danger from humans, a reaction formed from previous experiences in the wild or perhaps from past encounters with people. The rancher watches carefully, never pushing the Mustang beyond what it can handle. They know that trying to force the horse into submission will only cause more harm than good. This resistance is not born out of anger but fear, a fear that has been ingrained into the Mustang's very being. Every movement, every sound, is a reminder of its time in the wilderness, where survival was the only thing that mattered. In the wild, trust is earned slowly, and for a Mustang, that trust is nearly impossible to gain without proving oneself over time. The rancher's heart aches as they watch the Mustang recoil. It's clear this animal, despite being saved from the storm, is not yet ready to trust again. The wildness runs deep, and for now, it's the Mustang's greatest defense against the unknown. But the rancher, who has spent years working with animals, understands that patience is the most valuable tool in these situations. Rushing the process could result in the Mustang becoming even more distrustful, perhaps even dangerous. The rancher decides to take a slow, measured approach, letting the horse acclimate to its new surroundings at its own pace. Each day, the rancher spends hours in the barn without asking anything from the Mustang. They sit quietly in the corner of the stall, not making any sudden movements. Their presence is calming, steady, and the rancher hopes that the horse will begin to associate them with safety rather than fear. They don't try to force the Mustang into a bond or make it feel confined. Instead, the rancher simply exists in the Mustang's space, always providing food, water, and the occasional gentle word. This silent communication begins to lay the foundation for a relationship, one that is built on respect rather than control. At night, when the barn is quiet, the rancher still comes to check on the Mustang. They don't expect miracles. They understand that this will take time. They know the Mustang's healing process won't just be physical, but emotional too. With each passing day, the rancher remains consistent, their actions unwavering, offering the Mustang a sense of security and predictability. The horse may not be ready to trust yet, but the rancher is willing to wait. This slow, gentle approach takes time, and while it may feel like no progress is being made, every day brings a little more comfort for the Mustang. The rancher knows that once the horse feels safe enough to allow even the slightest interaction, it will mark the beginning of something much deeper. After several weeks, something begins to change. Subtle at first, the Mustang no longer immediately recoils when the rancher enters the barn. Instead, it stands still, its ears flicking back and forth as it observes the rancher, weighing them carefully. The wild, untamed energy that once filled its eyes is still there, but now there is something new: curiosity. One morning, as the rancher enters the barn, the Mustang doesn't retreat to the furthest corner. Instead, it stands close by, its eyes trained on the rancher's every move. The rancher smiles softly, speaking in low tones to the horse, a voice of reassurance and calm. They've spent weeks allowing the horse to come to terms with their presence, and now it seems the Mustang is beginning to do just that. This small moment of stillness is a breakthrough. The Mustang's resistance begins to fade, but not completely. It is still cautious, still wary, yet now there's a tentative acceptance of the rancher's presence. The rancher reaches out slowly, offering a piece of carrot, something the Mustang has grown used to seeing but has always rejected until now. The horse sniffs the carrot carefully before taking it in its mouth, chewing slowly, almost as if testing the waters. It's a simple act, but for the rancher, it's monumental. It's the first time the Mustang has shown any sign of trust. The rancher's heart swells with a quiet pride as they watch the horse enjoy the treat. It's not much, but it's enough to confirm that the bond is beginning to form. As the days continue, the Mustang's acceptance grows. It no longer jumps at every step the rancher takes. Instead, it stands more calmly, its posture loosening. The rancher can approach without causing panic, and when they gently touch the Mustang's neck, the horse no longer pulls away. It doesn't lean into the touch just yet, but the fact that it stays still is a victory in itself. The rancher's patience is paying off. Each interaction, however small, brings them closer, and with every moment of calm, the Mustang begins to heal not just physically but emotionally. It's still a long road, but now the Mustang knows, deep down, that it is safe. The rancher isn't a threat. They are a protector, a friend. This developing bond is the beginning of something greater. The Mustang, once a frightened, wild animal, is starting to trust again. And the rancher, with every small victory, knows they are on the path to something that transcends mere rescue. It is the beginning of an unbreakable connection. One morning, the rancher walks into the barn to find an unsettling sight. Empty stalls, the Mustang's absence glaring. The carefully closed gate is ajar, swinging gently in the wind, the silence around the barn thicker than ever. For a moment, the rancher stands frozen, a sense of panic beginning to creep in. Where could the Mustang be? The rancher knows that the Mustang, though beginning to trust, is still wild at heart. They had always feared that the horse might bolt, that the lure of the open plains might call to it. But they never imagined it would happen so soon. The barn is quiet, eerily still, and the rancher's thoughts race. Had the Mustang finally decided to return to the wild? Or had something happened, something that had caused it to escape? Every moment feels stretched out, filled with the heavy weight of uncertainty. The rancher searches the nearby pastures and areas around the ranch, calling out for the Mustang, but it's nowhere to be found. An overwhelming sense of loss settles in. The rancher knows that even though the Mustang had started to trust them, it was never theirs to fully tame. The wild nature of the Mustang was always going to be a force beyond control. But still, there's a pain in the rancher's chest. A pain of failure, of a bond that felt incomplete, and of the Mustang slipping away from the safety the rancher had promised. Hours turn into a full day, and just as the rancher begins to lose hope, a distant sound catches their attention. The rhythmic thud of hooves, faint at first, grows louder as the rancher steps outside the barn. They squint against the setting sun, scanning the horizon, and there, in the distance, they see it. A lone figure galloping towards them. The Mustang is back. The rancher's heart races with a mixture of relief and confusion. The horse's sleek, powerful form moves like the wind, its mane flowing behind it, untamed and wild. Yet there's something different now. The Mustang's posture is no longer fearful, but triumphant. It moves with a new sense of purpose, as if it has been on a journey of its own. When the Mustang reaches the barn, it doesn't hesitate. It stops just short of the rancher, eyeing them with a look of recognition and understanding. The rancher stands still, holding their breath. This isn't just a return. It's a statement. The Mustang has gone out into the world, testing its freedom, and now it's choosing to come back. The rancher feels a rush of emotions, the weight of everything they've been through with the horse, the fears, the struggles, and now this return, this silent affirmation that the bond they've begun to form is real. The rancher steps forward slowly, careful not to spook the Mustang. But this time, there's no retreat. There's no flinch. The Mustang stands its ground, allowing the rancher to approach. It's a powerful moment. The Mustang's escape and return symbolize the ultimate test of the rancher's patience and the wildness of the horse's spirit. Despite the Mustang's brief moment of freedom, it has chosen to return, not out of necessity, but because it feels safe. It feels trust. The mystery of the Mustang's escape and return doesn't end with the horse simply walking back into the ranch. There is something else, something that the rancher doesn't immediately understand. When the Mustang came back, it wasn't just physically different. There was a change in its behavior. It moves differently, more confident, more assured. Its coat, once dull from the weeks of recovery, now shines as if it's been strengthened by something greater than mere survival. The rancher begins to notice small changes. The Mustang no longer shies away from contact, but rather welcomes it. It nuzzles gently against the rancher's hand, as if apologizing for its brief escape. But there's more. The rancher finds something unusual. Just beneath the Mustang's mane, hidden from view, is a small, weathered piece of cloth. It looks like it's been there for some time, caught between the Mustang's fur, something that the rancher hadn't noticed before. Curious, the rancher carefully untangles the cloth. It's an old, faded piece of fabric, tattered and frayed, almost unrecognizable. But as the rancher studies it, they realize something that shakes them to the core. The fabric is a piece of an old saddle, one that seems to have been abandoned. It's a strange and unsettling discovery. What had the Mustang been through? Had it been captured and ridden before? Was this a remnant of its past, of a life spent under someone else's control? The mystery of the Mustang's history begins to unfold, and the rancher is left with more questions than answers. Why did the Mustang leave and then return? What had it been searching for, and what had it found in the wilderness that changed it so profoundly? The rancher is left to wonder about the Mustang's past, the layers of experience that it carries with it, and how this will affect the future bond between them. The mystery deepens, revealing that there is much more to the Mustang's story than anyone could have guessed. The true nature of its wild spirit remains elusive. Yet somehow, it now feels like a creature that has chosen to belong, not just out of necessity, but out of trust. As the days pass following the Mustang's return, something unexpected begins to emerge. The Mustang is no longer just a wild animal on the ranch. It begins to take on the role of a leader. At first, the rancher notices small, almost subtle changes in the way the Mustang behaves around the other horses. It's as though the Mustang has become the silent authority among them, its presence commanding respect without a single aggressive gesture. One afternoon, as the rancher observes from a distance, they witness something startling. The Mustang leads a small group of horses out to the farthest pasture, its head held high, eyes scanning the terrain with a purposeful intensity. The other horses follow without hesitation, drawn to the Mustang as if it's their natural leader. There's a grace to the Mustang's movements, an undeniable sense of direction as if it has a deep understanding of the land, and a deep understanding of how to navigate it. What's even more surprising is how the other horses, who had once been hesitant to follow the rancher, now seem to respect the Mustang's authority. The rancher watches as the Mustang guides them safely back to the barn at sunset, the horses trailing calmly behind. This is no longer just a horse that was rescued. It has evolved into a figure of leadership, something greater than anyone could have imagined. For the rancher, this realization is nothing short of remarkable. It's a revelation about the true nature of the Mustang, about the deep instincts it carries, and how its journey through the wilderness has shaped it into something powerful. The rancher starts to understand that the Mustang's escape wasn't just about fleeing. It was a journey that awakened its potential, a potential that it's now sharing with the other horses. This wild creature has become more than a survivor. It has become a guide, a leader in its own right. As the Mustang takes on its new role, it begins to show a level of intelligence and understanding that surprises everyone. One evening, the rancher is in the barn tending to the horses when they hear an unusual noise coming from the far side of the pasture. The Mustang, leading the other horses, suddenly stops, its ears flicking in the direction of the sound. The rancher knows something's not right. Without hesitation, the Mustang moves toward the noise, followed by the other horses. The rancher, unsure of what's happening, quickly follows, but when they reach the source of the sound, they find a shocking sight. One of the younger horses, a colt that had recently been introduced to the herd, is stuck in a muddy ravine, struggling to free itself. The poor animal is panicking, slipping further into the mud with every attempt to pull itself out. The rancher's heart races. It's clear that if they don't act fast, the colt could be in serious danger. But before the rancher can make a move, the Mustang steps forward. With calm, deliberate movements, it approaches the colt, nudging it gently to calm it down. The Mustang then leads the colt toward a safer area, guiding it step by step. It's a surreal sight, the wild Mustang, once rescued from near death, now saving the life of another. It's an extraordinary act, one that speaks volumes about the transformation the Mustang has undergone. In this moment, the rancher realizes that the Mustang is no longer just a symbol of strength and independence. It has become an integral part of the ranch's life, a guardian, a protector, and a teacher to the other horses. The rancher stands in awe, watching as the Mustang's actions defy all expectations and reveal an astonishing depth of empathy and leadership. The wildness that once made the Mustang unpredictable and difficult to manage has now evolved into a profound wisdom, a wisdom that saves lives and shapes the future of the herd. With the Mustang's extraordinary act of leadership and compassion, the rancher begins to see the potential for a new chapter in their life. A chapter that's shaped not only by the bond they share with the Mustang, but also by the transformative journey they have taken together. The rancher realizes that the Mustang, once a symbol of the untamed wilderness, has become the bridge between the wild and the domesticated, between freedom and trust. It's not just a rescue anymore. It's a partnership. The rancher and the Mustang are no longer two separate entities. They are a team, working together to create something far more meaningful than either of them could have imagined. The Mustang's leadership and the extraordinary acts it's capable of have reshaped the rancher's world, and in turn, The rancher's love and respect for the horse have given the Mustang a new sense of purpose. Together, they begin to train the herd, working side by side with the Mustang, who now understands the balance between strength and gentleness. The Mustang guides the other horses through difficult tasks, showing them the way and ensuring that they, too, can live in harmony with their surroundings. The rancher watches in awe as the Mustang, once a creature of the wild, becomes a symbol of hope and new beginnings for the ranch. It's a moment of profound change, both for the Mustang and for the rancher. And as the sun sets on another day, the rancher knows that the Mustang's return has not only saved their life, it has changed everything. This marks the beginning of a new era for the ranch, where trust, leadership, and the bond between man and animal form the foundation of a thriving, harmonious life together. The once wild Mustang is now a cherished companion, a friend, and a leader who has reshaped the rancher's world, just as the rancher has reshaped the Mustang's future. The journey has come full circle, and it's only just beginning. As the days go by, the rancher reflects on everything that has transpired. The storm, the rescue, the Mustang's transformation, and the incredible bond they formed. But beyond the actions, what stands out most to the rancher is the lesson the Mustang has taught them. It's a lesson about resilience, trust, and the deep connection between humans and animals. In the beginning, the rancher saw the Mustang as just another animal to care for, a project that required patience and hard work. But now, the rancher understands something deeper. The Mustang didn't just need saving, it needed understanding. It needed time, compassion, and respect. The wild creature that had once been so elusive, so untamable, had opened up, not because of force, but because of the rancher's unwavering belief in its worth. The rancher realizes that, in many ways, their journey with the Mustang mirrored their own struggles in life. Just as the Mustang had to fight against the odds to survive and reclaim its place in the world, the rancher, too, had faced hardships, emotional and physical. But through perseverance and a willingness to trust and be trusted, both the rancher and the Mustang had come out stronger on the other side. The emotional walls that the rancher had built over the years had been softened by the Mustang's silent wisdom. The lesson was clear. Sometimes, the most profound healing comes from the most unexpected sources, and trust is the key to unlocking potential, whether it's within yourself or in another being. The rancher smiles softly as they watch the Mustang lead the herd into the pasture. It's no longer just an animal on the ranch. It's a reminder that anything is possible when we have faith, not only in others but in ourselves. The rancher stands a little taller, their heart a little lighter, knowing that the Mustang's presence in their life has forever changed the way they see the world. The final days of summer bring a sense of peace to the ranch. The storms have passed, and the once cold, harsh environment has softened into something warm and familiar. The rancher watches as the Mustang continues to lead the herd with grace, guiding them through the fields, teaching them the ways of the land, and protecting them from danger. The bond between the rancher and the Mustang is unspoken but profound. It's clear to the rancher that this relationship isn't just about care. It's about mutual respect and love. On one of those quiet afternoons, as the rancher sits by the barn, the Mustang approaches. For a moment, it pauses, its head held high, gazing out over the ranch as if taking in everything it has come to know. Then, as if sensing the rancher's presence, it turns and slowly walks over, standing beside them. The rancher's hand rests gently on the Mustang's mane, and for the first time, they realize that the Mustang has chosen to stay. It's not just a matter of safety anymore. The Mustang has found a place here, a home. The other horses gather around, drawn to the Mustang's leadership. They no longer need to be driven. They follow with an ease that speaks to the deep trust they now share. The rancher watches this quiet yet powerful moment, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. This is the ending they never could have predicted. The wild Mustang, once injured and lost, has become the heart of the ranch, its presence a source of strength for everyone it touches. As the sun sets behind the hills, casting a golden glow over the rancher stands, feeling an overwhelming sense of peace. It's a triumphant ending, not just for the Mustang, but for both of them. Together, they have overcome the impossible. Together, they have created something beautiful. And as the stars begin to emerge in the sky, the rancher knows that their lives will never be the same. The Mustang has not only transformed the ranch, it has transformed their entire life. This is a new beginning, one that's filled with hope, strength, and the unbreakable bond between a rancher and the wild Mustang that taught them the greatest lesson of all. That sometimes, the most incredible journeys begin with the most unlikely of companions. As the sun sets over the ranch, the bond between the rancher and the Mustang is a testament to the power of patience, trust, and the unexpected twists life can offer. What started as a simple rescue mission turned into a life-altering journey for both, proving that sometimes, the greatest rewards come from opening your heart to the unknown. This story reminds us that healing can come from the most unlikely places, and the bonds we form with animals can change our lives forever. The Mustang's journey from wild creature to trusted leader shows the profound impact of love, compassion, and respect, something we can all learn from in our own lives. If you found inspiration in this story, remember that sometimes, all it takes is a little faith to make a world of difference. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced a moment where an unexpected bond or act of kindness changed your life? Share your story in the comments below. If you believe in the power of second chances, like this video and share it with friends who need to hear this uplifting tale. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new story that will warm your heart and inspire you. Join our growing community of animal lovers, storytellers, and people who believe in the magic that happens when we give a little love to the world. Together, let's keep sharing these life-changing stories.